messing up on the in-game on the Twitch broadcaster delay thing, so that was my bad. But moving on forward, we do see some interesting picks come out. This should be a very exciting game. Gosh, just a second, I'll handle chat. Okay, they can handle themselves a little bit. Anyways, what we're looking at here is Puck being picked up to coincide with Team Dignitas' already aggressive lineup of Wisp CK. It's going to be really interesting. It's just pretty much essentially with the hitting level 6 of the Wisp, to a lesser extent the CK. He's mostly focusing on getting that Chaos Bolt and Reality Rift maxed on out. But either way, when that Wisp hits 6, they have a lot of gank potential to kill heroes such as the Chen, as long as they have vision of them. The Lifestealer is an okay option, but he always has the option to Rage TP on out of the worst situations. So once he gets his rage up to 3 seconds, which is actually baseline, then he's going to be able to survive through those things as long as he sees them coming, which is generally the case. Magnus does have Skewer, later will have Blink, but I'm not sure if it'll be enough. If the Wisp Spirit just happens to tag him on the way out, CK Wisp is so darn quick. When you pick up a Drums and Phase, and you don't always do that, but in some cases you find it more valuable than other options. Anyways, when you have any kind of mobility item on CK who already has a high base movement speed, benefits from the tether very, very substantially, all those add up. It's really devastating. It's so fast, and even skewering away and trying to follow with the blink, if he takes any damage to put that blink on cooldown, he's still going to get locked down here. As far as the Puck, has that blink initiation long term himself, and that's going to be extremely powerful for jumping on in and wreaking havoc. He can drop off the Dream Coil, drop off the Waning Rift, and orb on through, just dish out a ton of damage, and get out completely unscathed through the Ethereal Jaunt and Phase Shift. So he can play very gutsy, he can play very active, and I believe Fogged is going to use this very effectively here. One thing to keep in mind is Lifestealer is not nearly as affected as other heroes up against the Puck, because he can just break the Dream Coil with the Rage and walk on out with not really too much cost. But we do see here the other bands coming on out to move on forward, that the supports are going to be taken off the board from Team Dignitas specifically. Taking out the Jakiro, the Shadow Demon, the Keeper Light's also going to be thrown out the window there. And that's mostly because paiN doesn't have any lane support. They have a Jungle Chen, and is the game paused? You're gonna get all the content. It's just gonna be 2 minutes later for you guys. So no timeout necessary. You're still gonna see exactly. You're just gonna pick up exactly where we left off. But you should probably know that by now. So I'm gonna stop talking about the restart, because we do have Dota TV people. Hello, Dota TV people. How are you? And they're a little bit confused about the whole delay conversation. Anyways, Rubik coming out, really solid pick. I really like it because you can telekinesis them into a Chen creep, whether a Hellbear or a Centaur Conqueror, and really set up some good slows and stuns that make it very powerful. But Team Dignitas actually picking up a pretty good pick in my mind to counteract that. Weaver is so darn quick with his Shikuchi that you can go underneath sentries, underneath dust, and still, even if you're visible, you can most likely evade them. You can get out of the open wounds. All you have to worry about is the hard stuns, the lockdown from the Chen's and Snare, the telekinesis from the Rubik. As soon as those are on cooldown or unavailable, Weaver has just run-of-the-mill as far as that lane goes. It's pretty risky, and it puts into question how they're going to lane it. But I think they might just go for like a Weaver offlane, kind of play him like a Clinks, run him as a very survivable hero, that as long as he can get some farm here and there, he'll be able to do a lot of damage to that Lifestealer and compete in a very real sense. Unless they go for an aggressive tri-lane, or they expect the enemy to go for an aggressive tri-lane. paiN has done this before with a Chen. It's not as common, but it's definitely viable. Okie dokie. So, anyways, yeah, we see the Lone Druid picked up here, and paiN Gaming could pretty much. There's a lot of both of these teams are kind of building lineups that are very flexible in multiple ways. The Chaos Knight and the Weaver aren't going to be in the same lane, so what we could be looking at is a Puck on mid and a tri-lane with the Chaos Knight or with the Weaver technically, but I don't think CK is the best solo in my opinion. So I would say CK, Wisp, and an to-be-named support are going to go in a tri-lane. Weaver's going to go solo, and so is Puck on the mid. The question is whether Weaver's going to go suicide lane or it's going to be an aggressive tri-lane. I don't think Wisp is that great in aggressive tri-lane, but CK is so darn good that it might just make up for that. We'll have to see. Either way, paiN Gaming technically have the same exact option. I don't feel Chen is the best tri-lane support, but if he's lucky on creeps and he has the right mindset going on into it, he could definitely go on the aggressive as well. So we'll have to see how these two lanes shape up here and there, but more likely, actually, we have some disconnect action. mind if we something faster make? Unfortunately, we had some issues here. Alright, it might be that they have one of their main roster players coming back on in, but we'll have to see. Anyways, we're going to give them a quick remake here, and I guess I'll go into the roster a little bit more as it comes into its fold. I wish I had actually memorized a little bit more perfectly, but hopefully I'll be able to provide you guys with an understanding of what we're looking at as we move on forward. So, get this rehosted. And essentially what we're looking at here, they picked up the paiN as their final option for that aggressive trial. And they have the Chaos Knight, the Wisp, and the paiN, all three of them very, very powerful and disables and dishing out quite a bit of damage pretty quickly. It's something that's underrated, and it's something that I think could accomplish a lot, but they don't necessarily need to go aggressive. Like I said, unless the Chaos Bolts are like 2 seconds every time, it's going to be difficult for the Wisp to set things up so that they have exactly what they need. Let me do an all-pick phase real quick. So yeah, a couple of hiccups getting off the ground, but it looks like Billy is here, and so they do not have to run Ned on their stand-in. So sorry for Ned for just watching out on the draft screen, but beyond that, we're getting on in, so whatever. Little hiccups here and there, and I think we're good to go. Alrighty then. So not too much point in putting down music as we kind of already started things off as far as the presentation. So pretty much what we're looking at for this matchup here is going to be pretty interesting. What I'm thinking is that the Lone Druid is going to have a lot of control in the lane he's in if he's going 1 versus 1, but that's not exactly going to be a guaranteed thing. It looks like Klotz is going to be picking up the Lone Druid for them, and let's just jump back on into this screen, providing you a little bit of information as far as what they're going with here. So again, this is an all-pick remake based on the fact that they just drafted and had to switch out one of the players who was the one that we happen to be waiting on. Alright, so what we're looking at here, we have paiN going to be picking up the Lifestealer. He loves that Lifestealer, plays him very aggressively and effectively. We do also have Billy going on the Chen, Grent on that Rubik, Magnus being picked up by Yuka, and Klotz going to run the Lone Druid, and he's technically still under the tag of the stand-in. But I think that what they're going to want to do is actually run that aggressive Chen tri-lane. It's not common, it's very, very risky because you could get terrible gank creeps, mud golems everywhere, but in the end, I think that if they can get good creeps, get good synergy in their aggression, I think that that tri-lane could put a lot of pressure on out. The problem is they're going up against a CK and a paiN, and that kind of a focus is going to change their mind quite a bit. With those big disable potential, it's really could screw them over as they try to play things a little bit more off the cuff. But yeah, starting things off, paiN is ready to go with some regen, some stout shield, but it looks like, I'm wrong again, Klotz is going to run the offlane. It's generally traditionally where we see that Lone Druid, it's just not generally where we also see paiN play that Lifestealer. Every single time I see paiN pick up a Lifestealer, he loves to play him aggressively, try to shut down an enemy carry like a Phantom Lancer or something along those lines, so I wasn't exactly sure if that was what they were going to go for in this scenario, but like I said, it's just difficult for Chen to run aggressive. He has to luck out on those creeps, and I just don't think it's going to be something they want to commit to, especially going up against a paiN and a CK. So that'll be effectively just making it so that's the standard 3 versus 1 tri-lane setup, and pretty much what we're looking at there is Klotz trying to pull as much as possible with the bear. What he's going to do, actually putting up a ring of protection on top of the stout shield, giving him some mitigation prior to that block. But anyways, what he wants to do is either cut the creeps off here or through here. Drag the creeps on through the lane back to this position so he can keep the creep equilibrium in a safe position for a reliable experience. But the one great thing about the paiN is you can start off with Nightmare, and if you use the Nightmare on the bear, he immediately eliminates the creep lane aggro. So you're not really going to have to worry about that too much at all, and that means Klotz is going to have a terrible time finding farm down up top, and I think they're actually going for the swap, going for the lanes I was originally talking about. The question is how much it'll work. Or paiN will go solo. I have absolutely no idea what they are planning on with this pickup here. I mean, he has the Rage, so that nullifies a lot of their threat, but you can follow a Nightmare up with a Chaos Bolt and not have to worry about his projectile being locked down. So we'll have to see how this works out. Billy's still sitting on bottom, Grent as well, so they're gonna support the Lone Druid and run a Suicide Lifestealer. I've never seen this, and I don't really see how it could really play into their hands very effectively. This seems not like an entire misplay, but just something that you don't see it for a reason. The Lone Druid's going to try to help out with the creep pulling, but as we said, that if he just paps one little Nightmare off, the creep lane aggro is eliminated, and the creep equilibrium will find itself over here. So it's very, very weird, and although the bear is nice to help try to get paiN in the right position, right now we're seeing him in an awkward spot. He's not going to be able to accomplish very much at all, but Klotz is. Klotz is going to get a ton of farm. We're going to be seeing him moving in with like 3 CS starting right off the bat, and with Grent to zone things out, Universe is going to have to play very, very carefully if he's going to make sure that he's in a good spot. Because again, Grent started with a couple sentries. We already see one down in the lane here, and that's going to make it so that Grent, although he's mobile, has to watch himself from Chen ganks. If he ever gets ganked by a Chen, there could be a lot of danger involved. Nice action from Fog. Moving in towards his bottle very quickly, just checking out current gold. We do see that he is the top of the charts, moving in towards that 600. And once he has that, there's really nothing to stop him. He has full rune control compared to a Magnus, who only has a 600 range skewer. And, of course, you saw him right there using the phase shift against the shockwave. Yuka just doesn't really have the means to contest him too directly, as long as Fog is using his abilities and utilities as aggressively as he can. So, go back to last hits. We do see that CK is having the time of his life up top. Aoi just looking for some good items to start him off. Maybe some treads, maybe some armlet action, who knows. There's a lot of different ways you can play it. Drum of Endurance is very, very common, though, just to give you a lot of momentum, mobility, and attack speed. But we do actually see that paiN is just going to relegate himself to the jungle. Has that Stout Shield, has the potential to farm the jungle. The problem with this is that Lifestealer is one of the slowest junglers in the game. He will be able to survive when he hits that rank 2, rank 3 feast. He'll be in an okay position to survive in the jungle, but it doesn't really help out his damage, and it's going to be a very, very slow time coming. Universe with an Invis, messing around with Billy. Oh, he's going to snipe some creeps. That's going to be funny. Just has to Shooky all of them right now. Oh, big steal. Big steal coming out of Universe. Takes up almost all the income that Chen was farming up there. That was really, really cute play. And, yeah, rank 1 Shooky. Still actually able to accomplish that. And for those wondering, Shuki, I'm just using that as a shorthand of Shikuchi. I definitely know how it's pronounced in phrase, but it's just a lot easier to say with a couple syllables rather than as many as they put on out there. I do see Fog doing some back and forth between him and Yuka, but Yuka actually being forced to bottle crow. That's kind of how we see Magnuses these days. They're not really that great at rune control early on, and so they're going to be the most common ones to bottle crow very, very frequently. But Puck is putting out a lot of pressure. Without a Stout Shield, every single right click is very, very difficult to deal with, and the only thing that he can really take away from that is he does have the uphill miss. He does have the small % chance that won't do any damage at all, and that helps out a little bit, but I don't know, it's just, it doesn't seem to work out very well when you're looking at last hits. Fog moving in past 19 with 3 denies, and now he's harassing back Yuka down to 300 HP, and he only has 14 last hits himself. It's just not a good spot to be in. Universe, on the other hand, having the time of his life, surprisingly. It's kind of like I said, running the clinks on the offlane. You get mobility, you get invisibility, and if they're not perfect on their sentries and chain disables, you can easily get out of a bad spot. So, Universe running it this way, and it seems to be to great effect. Klotz, without his bear, is not really accomplishing too much. Speaking of, Bear has the recall. He could bring it down at any point in time, but right now he seems to be wanting to mess around with the neutral creeps. Try to give paiN just a little bit of vision of these creeps. Just get him in range, just barely, so that he can get a couple of drops of experience. But honestly, Dignitas completely shutting that mindset down. With the paiN, way too sexy, with Aoi 2000 controlling the creep wave just like this, there's no chance at all. And paiN, again, makes another long, long walk all the way back. And he didn't skill Feast. He went for a 1-1-1 build, which is standard on the lane, but if you're jungling, it's completely horrible because you cannot feast enough to sustain yourself, and he's going to have to put some money into more salves and tangos. More bottle crowing incoming from Yuka, and this will be pretty interesting as they proceed on through. We do see that the level 6 comes out first for the Puck. Fogged actually sitting at 430 experience per minute. That's very substantial when you compare it to the 300 some that the Magnus has been able to acquire. And if he gets a solo kill with this Dream Coil, then he's going to be able to just jump up those charts entirely. And yeah, he breaks the tether. Knew that any more auto attacks would have spelled his demise either way. So we see that jump up. Now, Fogged sitting at 550, has an extra bonus of gold. Just a huge, huge bounty coming out of that kill. Sent your ward down in the lane against Universe, but again, he's so darn quick that unless he gets tellied in or entangled, if the bear does make its way back down to the bottom lane, it's going to be difficult to lock him down. Instead, the Lone Druid picking up phases for himself. It gives him last hitting potential now, and then Klotz will be able to transfer it over to the bear when he feels it's most appropriate. And poor paiN. Going back to base, Jungle Lifestealer with only rank 1 Feast. He's still at level 3, and that's going to stay that way for a while. That is so unfortunate for him. Going up against a level 7 Puck he's being out-leveled by the enemy's Bane. That's what we're looking at here. Way Too Sexy is doing better than their Lifestealer, which is their secondary core. I mean, they want to make sure they prioritize their Lone Druid in this situation, but if Lifestealer can't find farm, he's not going to be able to accomplish much himself. Speaking of not accomplishing much, check out Wisp here. Roaming around aggressively, but with a rank 1 tether, isn't doing too much at all. We do see damage coming onto the bear, and it should be enough to nuke it down. He will have to go for a resummon, or no. The bounty goes to Aoi 2000 with that Reality Rift, being well worth it. But anyways, it looks like Tides of Time is going to make his way back up top, but he's not moving anywhere as far as experience goes. Bane is going to get that Fiend's Grip in a relatively good timing, and I guess they're going to take turns there. They're going to rush Way Too Sexy to level 6, using the stacking pulling, and kind of leeching a little bit from the main lane. But as far as the levels go, holy crap, Pada, playing it close. But anyways, yeah, I think that what they're going to try to do is make it so that Way Too Sexy gets level 6 as soon as possible, and then as soon as that's done, switch it over and focus the experience gain on Tides of Time. They want to make sure they get the Fiend's Grip out, get a kill or 2 with that, and then have the relocate up and at them to really make use of this excellent draft coming out of Dignitas. And we do see Weaver kind of transitioning towards mid, but with the Tranquil Boots, he can go just about anywhere, and it looks like he is going to head back towards bottom. Oh, Tide, look at that HP loss. That was like a rank 3 Shockwave, and Tides of Time losing almost half his HP to it. That's ridiculous. That's just, well, when you're level 1, 7.5 minutes in, that's kind of where you're going to be sitting at. Either way, we do see back down bottom, the Lone Druid's Bear is here, and there's a lot of Chen creeps, actually. Popping the Buckler, they're going to look for the push, and there is only one rank of the Swarm to try to deter them, and even then, that's just going to be feeding a lot of money to the team in general. But he's going to try to pull the creep wave back, force the Chen to use his creeps as he intends to, tanking up the tower with their big, beefy 1250, 1325 HP. And with the Lone Druid's Bear, he can actually do a lot with this. Without the Demolish, they're still just completely destroying this tower, and Lone Druid will get the last hit there. So that is one plus side for paiN. Let's look at the gold graph now. They were completely behind, but moving back up on top of things, they're actually able to get a ton of gold for their team in general. Magnus trying to put some damage into Fog, but get a little bit of revenge for that solo kill in mid, but Fog's just going to walk away. He's just too slippery of a character, even without the amount of orb. And it looks like Chen is not done, the Lone Druid neither. They are not going to be near level 7 anytime soon, so Demolish will not be up on the Bear, but they want to keep going. The Buckler provides +2 armor. They already have +2 from Basilius, so they are raring to go. And this Bear can take up a ton, since he's actually sitting at 11 armor himself. So they can just keep on battering down this tower, and it will cost them some HP on the Bear. It might even cost them a Chen creep or 2, but the sum will come out. Oh, Tide's coming on in, trying to help out. Get Shockwave down instead, but they do force them back for the moment. Either way, I guess they're just trying to put the pressure out now because they know that the map control will not really be something that they can affect long term when the relocate starts coming out. When the Wisp hits level 6, you can't just start pushing randomly when they can just counter gank with 2 individuals and then follow that up with a relocate of 2. It's just, it makes it so that you have to commit as 5 heroes to every single part of the ground that you cover up. But one really important thing here, and I don't want to call strat pause here, but it actually is very fortuitous for Yuka here to be looking for an opportunity to pull this Weaver out of position. As far as detection goes, Grant has none, Billy has none, so they're not going to be really able to accomplish too much because there are no sentry wards down on the field nearby. So Universe could be in a bad skewer spot based on Yuka, but I think they're really going to have to commit the reverse polarity right here if they're going to lock him down. The question is, will the damage follow up be there? I think he's going to try for it right now. And yeah, goes for the reverse polarity, following that up. They skewer him right on into the fray, and he's immediately disintegrated. Again, that is only level 6 Weaver with no static HP items. So, interesting pause. Obviously, possibly just some weird lag issue or something, but either way, I would be a little bit flustered if it was me playing Universe's Weaver there and just getting pulled out of position really poorly. Speaking of Lifestealer, Fiend Script, did they commit it? They, no, they just use their Nightmare and Brain Sap. He's out of mana, but they still have that cooldown available. So now they're going down on bottom, trying to do some damage here. Fog already haven't popped off that Dream Coil, sets up Grent to be dropped down. Nice Reality, but the skewer away puts Yuka out of the bad position, just into the 4-second Chaos Bolt, and he's not going to get out either. Looking to pursue, Weaver has so much mobility with that maxed out Shikuchi. He's going to be able to just stay super active. Claws will get out with the Test of Faith, but Billy, not so lucky from Universe's right clicks here. The Geminate and the Shikuchi, he's just going to keep on going until it's done, and actually wasting a salve in the process. Big mistake there. Alrighty then, so we do see the Puck picking up a Blink Dagger there. Well, it did enable Fog to finish things off there. It looks like as far as the tower kill goes, though, it did go the way of Chen. His creeps just finishing that off there. So that team fight broke out pretty quickly, getting the pick off on paiN up on the top lane with the Nightmare, with the Chaos Bolt. They were able to make sure he couldn't rage on out of any of their abilities, and a lifesteal without rage is hardly a lifestealer at all. So he got locked down. They immediately teleported bottoms, kind of communicating very well with Fog to get a good double Dream Coil up and try to follow through on them when they didn't have the RP available. No team fight, so they just were kind of going based on their push, and Dignitas made them pay for it. Now swinging the game in their favor, 5-1, very nicely done. So Dignitas is in a great spot right now, but Yuka is going to be trying to move in towards some bigger and better items in the near future. If he can get that Blink online, it'll be a completely different game. But for right now, the initiation is in the hands of Fogged, and he has all the health, mana, and mobility to use it. So again, the Phase Boot's up on the Bear, the Tranquil's up on the Lone Druid, but I'm kind of surprised how little farm Klotz got given his situation. I mean, he was 3 versus 1 against a Weaver. He was able to last hit the lane as much as he wanted, and yeah, he's still only sitting at 61. One of that is like 4 or 5 of those creeps are jungle creeps from the easy camp and such. So really, comparing the GPM, it's no comparison at all. Chaos Knight able to pick up 1 kill, 1 assist, and coming out on top as far as last hits go, he's definitely going to have more gold than anything. And Aoi 2000 picking up what I would definitely say is iconic to him and his mindset as far as carrying goes, and that's picking up a Midas, making sure that he can secure the late game by picking up items that are increasing his farm rate substantially there. We do see Yuka heading up on the offlane. One wonders whether or not he should have started there in the first place, but either way, he finally makes his way up there to try to contest the Chaos Knight a little bit more directly, and he will find farm here and there, but most of the action is going to be on the mid. Tides doesn't have his relocate yet, but he does have a haste bottled up and can dish out quite a bit of damage, and actually he's just going to get his relocate right now. So just hit level 6, raring to go. Universe jumping on in, nice blink to start things off, but they cannot go on a lifestealer. He has that rage, and they just force out a couple defensive TPs and fall back from there. Universe and Fog to the southeast, and the remainder just going away from there. Actually building a bad spot, but they will not commit a Dream Coil to it, so they're just going to have to let him go away, poke and prodding as they go along. But one great thing to mention is Aoi's still farming. Aoi's up on top lane, and only now is being contested by Klotz on that Lone Druid, which actually his Bear is not in that great of a position. He has to start looking to summon it in the near future. Very, very ballsy positioning by Way Too Sexy. He's confident that they don't have understanding of his presence here, and knows that he can see anybody that's coming up the hill anytime soon. We do see Infest actually coming out for paiN to help him farm a little bit more, but we do also see this potential relocate. Pretty much what they're looking for is a gank on mid, and they're going to go for it right now with a big Dream Coil to start things off. The Swarm comes on through. It's going to be a big reverse polarity, but Billy's going to fall to the damage of the CK. However, Fog Universe, he does get the time lapse. Fog dropping low. He cannot survive this. He does actually get a little bit of nuke off before falling on through, but he does die in the end. It looks like paiN is going to get picked off as well, no problem at all. And Grent, he just sold the Shikuchi. Will it be enough? One more right click is all Universe needs. He's going to go for it, but unfortunately gets juked into the trees. Cannot finish it off. paiN running for the hills with those phase boots, and CK not able to clean it up just yet. He is getting juked to the east, and going to get this TP off. No problem at all. Chaos Bolt! No. Aoi 2000 just unfortunately not able to react to that clever positioning coming out of paiN there. That was really interesting. The reverse polarity on 3 was amazing, and although they did get the pick off on a couple of supports that were out of that position really quickly between the Wisp and the CK, that was really what made the fight. It still kind of came out relatively even, both of the teams getting 2 kills here, but finding Klotz in this opportunity, going to burst him down so hardcore that it just doesn't matter. I think he was TPing to try to make them at least use the Fiend's Grip on him, but it didn't work out that way. So, looking back at the gold graph, despite taking so many towers early on, that's right, 2 towers down on the bottom lane, and honestly, Dignitas hasn't taken much at all. It still is going the way of Dignitas in gold, and definitely as far as experience. They're winning these engagements, they're coming out on top as far as kills, and I think they're going to keep on doing that. The relocate coming up in just a few seconds, maxed out Wisp Spirits, really sets it up so that Tides of Time can make sure CK is always finding an opportunity to jump on things. Speaking of, Universe trying to get on out of there, too much damage coming forth. They popped down the Sentry Ward, they got the Telekinesis to start, they followed it up with enough damage from the Skewer, Fade Bolt, Shockwave. It's just too much, and now they can follow up onto the tower. Really good gank action from paiN as they find the opportunity, but Fog is looking for action as well. They are underestimating them, but they're going to go on in. Yuka has that RP in 6 seconds. They need to focus him down, and they indeed do. Fiend's Grip does get interrupted and stolen, I believe, but Aoi is going to take too much damage from that entangle, will get dropped down himself. Test of Fate to finish it, and just relocating away. They actually go for the buyback, but Aui's going to have to TP to the front lines. Wisp already having taken away Way Too Sexy back to the top, but they're all coming in simultaneously, and the question is whether or not paiN will fall back from here. Fortunately for them, they do, because those were so many buybacks. They popped off the buyback on the Magnus and the Chaos Knight simultaneously, but CK, but the one thing is the Magnus still has that RP. Wants to use in this next engagement, but Dignitas focusing him just a little too hard. Fiend's Grip still available for Rubik. He's going to have that for a few more minutes and needs to find a good opportunity for it. But it's a great spell, and Aui jumping in on. They want to burn down Yuka in this 2-second stun. They get him. Oh my gosh. Again, without a Kraken Shell, that ultimate can be shut down so hard just by disabling, and picking up this Whiff CK Puck lineup. It's exactly the trio of heroes, the trifecta of screwing over your spellcasts that will make sure that they don't have to worry about it in most team fights. Really, really nicely done. Speaking of, Battlecry up on the Lone Druid Bear, just battering down on the tower, playing the deconstruction crew, but Klotz doesn't have a TP scroll, and instead is just gonna, it almost seems like he's AFK. I mean, he might as well be with all these disables coming out, and he's gonna get locked down. Aui has that armlet already available. His net worth has skyrocketed to 7,200. It's ridiculous, especially with this Weaver kill down on bottom, the tower kill there. Which, by the way, Universe going for his very, very interesting Orchid Weaver build. It's definitely not the thing that you see most times, but in this case, working out for him. Either way, comparing the farm of the Lifestealer to Chaos Knight is actually a very, very sad thing to behold. Pada, although he's able to farm up Ancients with that rank 2 feast to an extent, he's going for Drum of Endurance. He's only for like 150 gold off of that, but oh, Fiend's Grip coming out from Grant, using it against Way Too Sexy himself, and they're actually gonna get that kill, no problem at all. But that's what I was talking about before, him kind of underestimating the enemy. I mean, they do have vision through these observer wards, and of course this is their territory in general, so getting a little too aggressive in my mind, but either way. Looks like that is a Waning Rift being stolen, so that's pretty cool. But the tower kill goes down on bottom, or on top. Now, one thing I was trying to mention, yeah, the one thing I was trying to mention was the fact that the armlet came out for CK so early. That's a pretty big item. I mean, it's only 2,700 gold, but the benefits you gain from it when it's active, if you don't have to worry about your health, if you just want to go purely offensive, the 25 strength, the 31 damage, the 10 attack speed, it's ridiculous. I mean, obviously you have to factor in the fact that it drains your health over time substantially, but you have a Tides of Time with a Tranquil Boots, with a bottle, soon to be a mechanism, that will be able to back you up no problem. So Aoi is in a great position to dish out a ton of damage, and the best part is that 25 strength propagates to the Phantasms. So you put that armlet on, you turn into Phantasms, you go for a big Reality Rift, and you pull them all into a Wisp Tether Stun and a huge burst of potential damage, especially with the 10% crit of the Chaos Strike. Now, one thing to mention is that the Chen has been able to farm up his mech somehow. Looking at his last hits, he's actually sitting at 44, but I gotta say, it's probably mostly about the tower kills. Getting that kill on the tier 2, a little bit selfish, but a little bit necessary to make sure that they don't get it denied. So, yeah, curious to see what exactly that's about. But we'll see in a second. Alright then, so Orchid going to be coming up for Universe in no time at all. And when he has that available, that is going to be very, very effective. I was talking about the power of silences and stuns going up against this Magnus, trying to Waning Rift him, trying to Chaos Bolt him, make sure that that reverse polarity doesn't come on through. So with this Orchid on top of that, they're going to make sure that that is always going to be the case. So they can always go for that lockdown here. And on top of that, if you can silence a Lifestealer before he can rage, that will make sure that you get your disables off on him, guaranteed. And also on top of that, the Rubik himself is a pretty potent spellcaster that you can nullify. So those are really nice combos. The Hand of God and the Mechanism are pretty good counters for dealing with the damage amplification. The 30% amp is based off of the damage that they receive during that, but healing effects will nullify a good portion of that. So I do feel that that will be counteracted by Billy if he's on the ball, but there's still so many different counters and so many different factors that we haven't really gotten into. The fact that paiN can control this Lifestealer so very effectively is going to be instrumental in these next team fights here. Their main focus is bringing down the Magnus first and trying to follow through from there, but we're going to have to see how quick Dignitas is to react to a rough situation. As Universe is farming down here in the enemy jungle, the smoke is actually going to come on through towards the Dire jungle instead, and And it looks like Grant's just going to be revealing himself for bait, trying to get relocated on. If the relocate comes on through, it's going to be the death of the Chaos Knight and the Wisp. They really, really want them to come on in, but they walk Yuka in range of the tower, and instead, they're just going to go for a quick little push on a tower that would have fallen pretty quickly anyways. Nice attempt for the deny. Fog popping the double damage rune to try to get that tower last hit, but not really going to go his way instead. Universe has that Orchid on its way, but one thing to mention is I talked about it hasn't really built it up too much at all, and in this situation here, it's kind of unfortunate for him because if he gets RP'd at all, he's not going to be able to get that time lapse off. They have too much damage focus, and building up a Orchid doesn't really play the role of what time lapse is supposed to do. Going on Magnus though, they have the follow up with that Brain Sap, big damage coming through, and with this Phoenix Grip, that's a guaranteed kill. Nice gank for them, and that's just a free 2 versus 1 pickoff that he could not have possibly seen coming. They don't have Radiant Wards up. They've been countered, or they've just been expiring by just over and over and over again, because in this position, Way Too Sexy and Universe have been camping the enemy jungle for what feels like hours. It's just been a couple minutes here, but the fact that they've been able to stay around here for such a long period of time is really, really based on the fact that the supports are not actively warding and not actively controlling the positions they need to. So right now, Dignitas is controlling the map very, very nicely and keeps that aggression rolling, looking for more opportunities to go for quick, easy pickoffs, and we'll see how that plays out in a moment. But we actually see Pada coming in onto Aoi, gonna go for that open wounds perhaps, but he doesn't have that much backup. Starts it off so fast, actually just gonna Phantasm out, turn things around, big reality rift, bringing Pada down to a third of his HP immediately. Now looking at Clots, but they don't want to go in without their team. All they have is Tides of Time and Aoi. They're not really willing to go in without too much mana, but I might be completely wrong on that. They seem to be willing to commit and risk their lives just so Weaver can keep pushing it down bottom. So they are really realizing that paiN doesn't have too much to back themselves up with. They have a lot more bark than bite, in the sense that gonna look for the deny, does get it, so good move there, and TP's away. But yeah, no, it's just really them paiN trying to show that they have a lot going on for themselves, and instead we see here that it's just not really going their way. paiN over and over getting little pickoffs here and there, and although they might get a Wisp kill, that's really not going to contribute too much at all. So yeah, Tides does drop down, but Aoi just keeps on running, and it seems like he wants to go back on in it. Not going to pop off the relocate just yet, just going to TP. But he is already back up and at him, and the only thing he lost was the knowledge of how to cast spirits from the Rubik there, but that's really the least of his worries. Fog coming on through, has that Dream Coil, Blink, and Yule's available, so he is almost unkillable. One more level in that phase shift, and he is going to be all set to pretty much survive through just about anything, as long as he has the ability to cast spells, and even then he can still try to go for the Yules. So that is going to be very promising moving on forward. And I gotta say, Klotz's farm is just not making up for it. Looking back at the net worth, seeing that he has only 6,100, please tell me something's on the courier. No, Bracer is coming out to Billy, but as far as Klotz's items, they're going to stay at Tranquil Boots and Maelstrom. Phase Boots as well, I suppose, but whatever. I mean, it's just like, he has some attack speed, he has some damage, but in general, he's relying on just how powerful Lone Druid is without items. He's relying on the big HP, the big armor, but he's not getting the offensive things he needs. He doesn't have an Assault Cross, he doesn't have, obviously not a Radiance, and he's not even going to be able to move towards a Mjolnir or anything anytime soon, so he's really not the best spot in my mindset, whereas Aoi is on the opposite end of the spectrum. He is living the high life. He's got the Heart of Tarrasque in a very short time period. He has the armlet on top of that, so that's a huge amount of strength to work with. I mean, when you get plus 40 strength from a heart, 25 from the armlet, it's just insane how beefy your phantasms get, as well as the damage you put out alone. So that's going to be extremely considerable, and I could honestly see the Wisp moving in, actually going for Vitality. Interesting pick. So looks like unless Way 2 is going to be looking on into it, no mechanism is coming out for Dignitas, and they'll have to just make sure that they don't get RP'd, because that's going to be the damage dealer that they can't come back from. That damage is going to be permanent throughout the fight, and they're just going to have to respect that to an extent. Still kind of drawing the line here. As far as warding goes, they have a bit better understanding with these observer wards what's going on up top, but beyond the sentry in the mid, they really don't have any way of detecting and dealing with what the kind of vision has been coming out from Dignitas. They have a dire ward up on the plateau. They've had this one in the jungle for a while. They have great observers. They have great understanding of where the enemy is, and if they want to go for a pickoff, they absolutely can. But the thing is, they're not even going for a pickoff type lineup. I guess this could be kind of defined as such, but really what they're finding is just opportunities to put pressure out in lanes, keep paiN Gaming huddled into a corner, make sure that they cannot farm the way they want to, and from there just keep them really starved for golden experience, keep them clustered up together so that the Rubik can't get more points at Nullfield and Telekinesis, and many other different things like that. We do see the bear coming out a little too aggressively. Infest coming out on top of Aoi. Is he going to be able to get out of here, though? And the relocate has to come out from the Wisp immediately. No, the Skewer comes back on in. Pops out the Phantasm, gets RP'd instead. The relocate will come. And no, he didn't have no mana. He went aggressive. Not exactly sure what the play was there. Tides of Time went tethered on in, and then he cast Spirits, of all things. So it seemed like he wanted to try to counter-initiate, but it was a 3 versus 5. And I feel if he had just tethered and gone for the relocate immediately, he would have obviously died himself, but he would have saved the life of the Chaos Knight, allowing Aoi to keep farming, to get that heart, and just kind of get a little bit of potential for revenge. But with this opening, with this opportunity to bring down the highest net worth carry, and also the Wisp, they're going to be able to bring down this Tier 1 tower and look for more after. But TP's coming on in, baiN coming on through, as well as Universe, but Lone Druid gets that last hit. Now the follow-up, Billy is definitely going to drop down, Orchid to make sure of it. They're looking for an Entangle proc. Actually, might not be able to do it there. Orchid should do it, though. Yeah, doesn't even need the Brain Sap. Finishes it off, and with his Nightmare to set it up, oh, big play by Chen. I like Billy's usage of his neutrals there, but it just might not be enough. Right-clicking down onto Fogged, he's going to jaunt away. Phase off, you just can't kill this guy. And instead, the bear is just going to get too distracted, running in circles, as he, of course, gets picked off by all three of them there. So good follow-up by Dignitas. They did lose that Tier 1 tower. It did not get denied. But they were able to clean things up and get a couple kills on the board for themselves. So in the experience department, great move there. Even losing a level 15 CK has not set them back as far as their experience gains. They're still in a great position here. We have to say that... Actually, Relocate is coming on through, back down towards bottom, jumping in on Yuka. He has that skewer, but it's not going to come out. Just too much damage, getting the high roll on that stun. And Tides and Aoi walking away with a free kill. Or just Tides. Aoi can stay. He likes to play pretty aggressively. And in this position here, since they're pushing up on the top lane, if they commit 2 to 3 heroes to try to put pressure on the CK, they can easily bring down this Tier 3 or at least half of its hit points during that time period. So he's willing to split push. He finds that as an easy opportunity to get some damage in, and with his heart, all he has to worry about is an Entangle proc. Alright then, as far as other items, we are going to see the Wisp move in towards that Mechanism. It's just really belated. He went for the Vitality Booster first, and then tried to follow up with the Mechanism. I don't exactly understand the logic there, but it's just, I guess, trying to get a little bit more durability in general. The reason why I don't really like it is because Wisp has an okay strength gain. 1.9 is not amazing, but it's alright. The bigger issue is the fact that he has 0 base armor. So he has 2 plus 8 now because he has that buckler. But prior to picking that up, he had so much physical damage forthcoming. So I don't know. It's just my personal opinion that building up the buckler and moving that into mech will generally give you more effective HP, especially more utility for your teammates. But I can see where the Vitality Booster would be valuable as well, and we'll have to see. It's not. He's going to pass that point where it's not going to be a big factor one way or another. Alright, so Lone Druid picking up an Armlet. I have not really seen this. They're going double Armlet. They're saying, okay, well, we're in backs against the wall. We're in a terrible position. We really need to be able to survive through crazy plays. And if anything's going to work, it's going to be an Armlet on a bear, Armlet on the Lifestealer. Just toggle away and try to survive through all that damage. There's not that much damage over the time. They have to worry about the Swarm Beetles. They have to worry maybe about the Spirits hitting long term, but beyond that, it's really, they can still toggle away and be in an okay position. So that'll be interesting, but I'm not sure it'll pay off. It's just kind of a little bit of a gambit where they're like, okay, maybe the bear can get a little bit more attack speed, a little bit more damage. Doesn't benefit from the strength, but actually, in that regard, does he even get any increased HP? Because he doesn't have strength stat himself. Actually, we see an RP blink coming out on Way Too Sexy. Universe pops off the time-lapse, getting bursted too hard. Way Too Sexy is going to be the first to fall. The Dream Coil is nice, but Brent does get an orb for himself. Universe actually picking off onto Billy, walking away from here, but he does not have that time-lapse, as we spoke of before, and he's just going to be able to keep on Shukuchiing on through. So I can tell the bear doesn't take the extra damage, but as far as the strength gain, I don't think it does much more than the the plus 31 damage and plus 10 attack speed. I don't know. I haven't really tested that, and I guess that's just one of those things that you can't test everything. But anyways, one important thing to mention is the Pickup of the Aegis Immortal, finishing off Roche. They got Tides of Time to pick up that mechanism, providing 625 healing to an individual that he's tethered to, as long as he heals 250 himself. And from there, we do see CK moving in towards presumably a Heaven's Halberd. Has the Heart. Heart gives him 48 strength. The Armament gives him 25. Now he has 16 from Sange, and he's going to make that even more so with whatever he follows up with. This is just ridiculous what this guy's strength can be. With the Armlet on, he's running over 160 strength. Has 3,400 HP. You compare that to a 1,200 Magnus, a 900 Chen. Even the Lifestealer, who's supposed to be, you know, at odds with him, is only sitting at 1,400 with Armlet off. So it's really, really ridiculous how much this CK is able to put out in high damage output. His base damage is insane, and of course, on top of that, he does have the huge amount of HP to back it up. So this will be pretty interesting. Moving on forward, I think that he can do a lot of damage here. Maybe 1 versus 3, as long as he doesn't get hit in the reverse polarity. And even if he does, he's not going to be that in a bad spot. So we'll see. Basti coming out for Lone Druid, looking for a Vladimir's Offering, presumably, trying to put themselves back in the game with a little bit of armor utility. Really, Universe? Orchiding the Wild Wing. Just stop that tornado bullcrap. Anyways, going for that Fiend's Grip on the bear. As far as Lone Druid Summon, he still has it up, and they give away the Fiend's Grip themselves, so I gotta say that not worth it at all. They took away half the HP of the bear. That's all great, but I think they're just kind of playing a little bit with paiN Gaming. They know that they've been gradually just starving them out, asphyxiating them, so that they actually are not going to be able to get any gold. Checking out the net worth, we see 13.5 on the Chaos Knight, as well as an Aegis. There is also 10.8 on the Weaver, 10.1 on the Puck. Heck, the Wisp is even doing better than the Magnus is. That was their solo mid Magnus. He has a Blink Dagger, but he's being out-farmed by a Guardian Wisp, for crying out loud. So that just kind of goes to show exactly how this has been going, back and forth, back and forth. And it actually just going to be Sange and Yasha for right now. Most likely going to turn that into a Halberd Manta when he decides to sell his Midas. But for right now, not too much going. They just keep on holding the line, make sure that the enemy is penned in, tied their tiny little base, and they're pretty much just taking the scraps that Dignitas feeds them gradually as the lane pushes on out. But really, they're always under pressure. They have no map control, no way to branch out, no way to farm Ancients. And from there, the control is generally in the hands of Dignitas. The Weaver just hit level 16, so short cooldown on the time-lapse. The Manta style available, giving him plenty of durability, and potential to just do a lot of hard right-click split push action. Now we do see looking for an opportunity to pick off Pada, but he does get the Rage TP. Very, very nice play by him. That is just pretty much exactly what he needed to do if he was going to be able to get on out of there, knowing how risky he was playing. But without bringing the baiN, there was no way to actually interrupt that. Actually, I think the Puck's mini stun might be physical, but I actually don't think so now that I say it. Anyways, way too sexy. Dueling it out with the bear, of all things, but popping off that Nightmare will be able to walk away from that. He doesn't have any HP regen, though, and for that reason is going to have trouble initiating in the next fight. Yeah, no, they don't really have anything other than the Fiend's Grip to lock down the Lifestealer, essentially. But Fog actually getting Fiend's Grip by the one that was stolen by Rubik. Nice action there. He, like I said, he feels so survivable with that Yules, with that Blink. He thinks that he can just pretty much do with anything. But the powerful disable of that Fiend's Grip, used at a very solid range, Grent's able to get a pickoff on the would-be unkillable Puck. So, nice maneuver there. They need detection. They need to be looking at something that can go for a pickoff on the Weaver as well. But as you guys can see, they really aren't investing in that at all. No gem, no dust, no sentries whatsoever. And that's a little bit awkward. So we do see Gank Train coming on through. They have vision of this, pulling him up. Is he going to get the rage off in time? I don't think so. 3-second stun, 2 crits in that exchange. Just ridiculous damage output. One of those was over 700 damage in a single strike. It's just so powerful. And he still has those Phantasms up. The Lifestealer in the grave for 40 seconds. He has an armlet and drums. That's it. He is just in such a bad spot. And it's pretty much, he's in the gutter. He's having a hard time pulling on out of it. And as soon as his next Roche comes up, I can't imagine it'll be too difficult for them to push on in, but that's still 5 minutes away. They have their Aegis up for 1 minute, but as we can see, they're not really doing anything with it. Aoi does not feel compelled to push all the way in, just happy to farm up a couple jungle camps, get a kill here and there, and keep his Midas on cooldown. So I'm curious to see what Magnus will go to follow through with. Maybe a Shiva's Guard just to deal with all that physical damage that's coming out from the CK, reducing their attack speed, getting some mitigation for himself. Or he could be looking for kind of a desperation all-in with that Refresher Orb, trying to go for a double polarity and say, okay, well, if we don't get 2 of those off in the middle of a fight, then there's no way we can win this, so we might as well try. And try they have. One thing to mention, oh, never mind, it's about to expire, is the Fiend's Grip just came off, otherwise Fog would be in another bad spot, but it's just going to blink away. As Grant picks up an Illusory Orb for himself. Alrighty then. So they're putting pressure out in all the lanes. They've been doing this the entire time, but there's really not much to cover. There's really nothing happening. Looks like paiN wants to go for maybe Lincolns or something, but I really couldn't tell you. Alrighty then, so I'm sorry, I guess this has just been really a kind of a draw of the match here. They're really, Dignitas is just spreading this out, not finding their opportunity to jump on in. And we are seeing now, looking at a spot, Pada going in, gets reverse polarity on Aoi. The Aegis has expired. This is terrible for him. Pops out the Phantasm, needs to run. Fog has that Dream Coil up. But they need to fall back from here using the Phantasm, doing so much damage to these things. They do 100% damage based on his base attribute. So they are able to actually finish off the melee racks by themselves. But Aoi himself has to fall back until his heart brings him back to full. But the one thing to mention is reverse polarity is an 85-second cooldown. They're going to lose the top racks here, and they were just pretty much Dignitas waiting for paiN to make a move. Unfortunately, they made the move on the hero that had 3,600 HP with an overcharge that reduces his incoming damage by 20%. They just can't bring him down. And so they commit a lot to him, but now Fog coming in and making him pay for it. He pretty much can just kill anybody he wants, starting with Billy. Nice Hand of God, nice back on cooldown. Either way, not going to be enough. 4 seconds done on Grent. Does get the telekinesis off, and it looks like they're going to be able to clean this up on Aoi specifically. He plays a little bit too aggressively here, but the buyback, he'll just come on in, and it looks like we're just going to see him relocate up. Tides of time, linking up with his buddy, and they'll be back in the fray in just a moment. The top racks have fallen. The melee on bottom taken down as well. It's just really, it was this giant calm before the storm that you couldn't really tell when they were going to actually choose to initiate, but finally they were waiting for an action from paiN, and it just wasn't enough. Way too sexy. Dropping down, but getting the kill on the Rubik. Now looking for Pada. 3 second stun will guarantee it. And Tazo died. We'll have to say sayonara for a little bit. He'll be TPing back to mid to help conclude this game here. But the good game will play comes out. Kind of been a long time coming, but as they were waiting for Dignitas to actually try to force the high ground, I understand both sides of them not really making a move just yet. Either way, good game does come on out. Dignitas takes game 1 of this best of 3 series, and yeah, sorry, there was a good period of like 6 minutes where nothing at all happened, but that's just how they wanted to play it, a little bit safer, a little bit more secure. And once paiN made a mistake, once they jumped in and tried to commit to something that they couldn't, they were able to not only take the bottom racks with Phantasms alone, but also pressure top with 2 heroes and follow that up from there. So, well played by Dignitas. They played it very smoothly. They had that dual core. It worked out very nicely, and I gotta say, Fog played amazingly. He did so well in top, in mid lane. The last hits on the Magnus totaled to 111. He had a net worth, or a GPM of 284. He got completely shut down in mid lane, and from there, he really only got 1 big polarity off. I mean, I guess you could say 2 or 3, but I would definitely, as far as really as good as they needed to be polarities, he only got 1. And from there, Dignitas takes the win. So looking at game 2 of this best of 3 series, we'll see if paiN Gaming can bring it back, or if they're going to be out in a 2-0 shutout. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, it's just been an interesting game so far, and we'll have to see if we got anything else coming forward. Definitely expect to see that Wisband coming out, and from there, we'll have to see what those 2 teams will draft. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll go on to the next game in just a minute.